It is therefore essential that this loading is properly accounted for during the design and construction of the building. It is not uncommon to see news footage of roof and wall cladding being ripped off and blown about during severe winter storms and of structural damage to temporary structures and older buildings. It is thankfully rare for modern buildings to fail structurally due to wind loading alone, although this is no reason to be complacent. Dr. Martin Haywood RIDBA is aware of several instances where buildings have swayed excessively during high winds, resulting in complaints from concerned building owners. Excessive deflections can lead to damage to the building envelope and ancillary components attached to the frame, requiring costly remedial action that could have been prevented by proper consideration of the likely wind loading at the design stage. Wind forces on buildings. When the wind blows over or around a building, it is forced to change direction and either speed up or slow down depending on the shape and orientation of the obstruction. This causes either an increase or decrease in the external air pressure. When combined with changes to the internal air pressure, the result is either a net positive pressure on windward-facing walls and the windward slopes of steep roofs, or a net suction on leeward-facing walls parallel to the direction of the wind, and on roofs generally. Importantly, the magnitude of the pressure is proportional to the square of the wind speed, so doubling the wind speed will produce 4 times the wind loading on the building. From a building design point of view, the most important point to understand is that wind speed varies enormously with location and building geometry, meaning that wind loading is site and building specific, so should be calculated for each and every building project. Since the magnitude of the wind loading has a direct bearing on the design of the frame, e.g. column and rafter sizes, it follows that the design of every building is unique and should be calculated or at least regularly checked. It should come as no surprise that a 15 meters barn designed for a sheltered location in Oxfordshire may not be adequate if placed on a hilltop overlooking the coast of Cornwall. Factors affecting the wind speed location. Some parts of the country tend to experience higher wind speeds than others, and this needs to be taken into account when calculating the wind loading on a building. To enable engineers without specialist meteorological expertise to judge the likely wind speed at a particular location, the available meteorological data has been analyzed to produce a contoured wind map of the UK, which is published as part of the UK National Annex to BSN 199114 and is reproduced over the page. The values shown on the map are magnitudes of the basic wind speed to which correction factors may be applied to take account of wind direction, altitude and exposure conditions. Altitude wind speed naturally increases with altitude, and this is accounted for by a correction factor that is applied to the basic wind speed. This is especially important for agricultural buildings since many are constructed at altitudes greater than 200 meters above sea level, where wind speeds are significantly higher than those in low-lying locations. Distance to sea. The shorter the distance to the sea, the greater the wind speed, since the wind loses energy and speed as it blows across land. The greatest reduction in wind speed occurs over the first few miles, meaning that locations on the coast experience much higher wind loading than sites only 1 or 2 miles inland. Clearly, clifftop sites that combine a coastal location with altitude experience particularly high wind speeds.